Hello and welcome to the Cosmic Healing Podcast. This is Vaughn and it is just me today. I am this week celebrating my 6-year anniversary of being a breathwork teacher. Oh my gosh, I just wanted to come in and kind of jam out about all the ways that breathwork has changed my life over these past 6 years. It is beyond my comprehension, and I am just so excited and proud of the journey that this has been. So I discovered breath work when I went to a personal growth retreat in Sedona in 2017. And it was in October of 2017, and I was at this retreat, and this woman named Anahata walked in, and she led the group through this breathwork experience, and it was so profound. My body, I think, levitated. My hands lit up. I felt like I could see and feel move energy ever since that moment. I kept hearing Holy Spirit move through my body, like, you are a healer, you are a healer, you are a healer. And at the time, I was just a full-time massage therapist, so I had no idea what that meant, but all I knew was like, I was like, this is incredible, and I had never experienced anything like that before in my life. And I came back to Atlanta just totally transformed. I was like, what was that? I want more. So I searched around Atlanta. I tried to find other breathwork teachers, and just, they didn't have like that shamanic element that I was really looking for. And so it took me almost a year exactly to get the memo, like Spirit knocking on my door being like, hello, Vaughn, it's you. You're supposed to be teaching breathwork. And so it's like, once I finally got the memo, I was like, I had like this urgency about it. It was like, okay, and you need to teach breathwork, and you need to find the training like quick, because it's happening. And it's just so funny because, like, in last week's podcast, how I was talking about all in divine timing, and how you won't release or receive anything that you're not ready for, and, you know, the divine timing of your soul's evolution, and just of whatever you are ready for. And my soul was ready for that. And once I realized that I was supposed to be teaching this, I was online. I remember I stayed up until like 2:00 in the morning one night, just searching and searching for this training. And then finally I was like, I found it, and it was with Sacred Breath Academy, and it was happening in 2 weeks. So this was like in October. I found the thing that was happening in 2 weeks in Asheville, North Carolina. We had plans, we had stuff going on. My kids were young, and I was just like, I gotta go, y'all. I don't know. At my soul, this is what I'm doing. And so I showed up to the Mountain Light Sanctuary, and it was in Asheville, North Carolina, and it was just so beautiful. The whole experience, even getting there, was amazing, because the place where I was staying, it was out in the boonies of the mountains of North Carolina. And I showed up, and it was basically like a hut. I can't think of another word, but it was just like a 4-poster hut with like one wall, I think. And there was like a canopy bed in there, and it was right on the river. I mean, there were no walls, maybe one wall, seriously. So like already I'm just feeling like so ancient and tribal, and I'm like, this is amazing. I'm like on this adventure all by myself for the first time like ever. And so we begin to go through our training and our experience, and like day 3, I literally healed a past life trauma, I guess you could say, at that experience. And at the time, like, I really didn't even know if I believed in past lives. But what happened was, prior to that, like before my breathwork training, I had gone on a retreat with like a women's empowerment group, and my roommate that was assigned to me was this beautiful young woman. She's actually been a guest on the podcast. Her name is Gabriella, and she's a very intuitive, psychic, gifted woman. And so after our retreat together, I scheduled some time with her, and she, because I was like, well, who am I? What am I? Like, I know this, I had this breathwork experience that said I'm a healer, but like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Like, am I supposed to go get trained in Reiki or, like a life coach? Like, what am I supposed to be doing? I don't know, because this was before breathwork. So I booked this session with her, and she was just like, there's something coming for you. She was like, but before you can get to that, you really need to heal a past life trauma. She said, I see that you were like the leader of a village, and a decision that you made killed a lot of people, and you are carrying a lot of guilt in this lifetime. And so you really need to work on that. And so I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll get right on that. Like, I didn't know. I don't even know if I believed in past lives. I really did not even know what in the world was happening. But it was about 6 months before my North Carolina experience. And so I just took that information in, and I was like, okay. And also, side note is, every decision I've ever made in my entire life, pretty much for the most part, has been based on guilt. Like, I mean, from what I eat, from what I drink, like we were out to dinner, I would only order what was within our budget, because I would feel guilty if I ordered anything else, that maybe my family couldn't afford, or I didn't go to a college further away because I felt guilty because I didn't want to be too far away from my family. And I mean, it was just like everything was guilt in my life. And yeah, I mean, it really was like, so I just really believe it is true that when we come into this life carrying past life trauma and karma for our bodies to heal through, I mean, I'm so passionate about that because I have experienced it so deeply from my own perspective and experience. So she had told me that information, so I kept it in my little nugget in my noggin. And then I'm at the breathwork training, and it's probably like day 3, and we're deep into our journey. And all of a sudden, I was transported psychically, because, in breathwork journeys, it is a very psychedelic experience. It certainly can be. Our bodies produce DMT in our lungs, and that's what creates the psychedelic experience. So I was having a very psychedelic experience in that point because I was doing active conscious breath work. And all of a sudden, I'm like transported in my mind's eye into this field of land, and like I can sense that there's a war going on with our land. Like our land is being taken over, and I can, my buddy, like my man and I, like we are leaders of this tribe, of this village or whatever. And we're kind of arguing because he's telling me to take the women and the kids and go hide and keep everyone safe. And I'm like, no, we are going to stay here and fight with you. And he's like, no. And I'm like, yeah, we're in this together. Like, we're going to stay and fight. So I finally was like, fine, I'll go. So I take the women and the children, and we go hide in this cave. Well, next thing you know, all of us died. And in that experience of me like remembering and seeing this, I mean, I'm just like a mess because my whole body is awakening to that remembrance and that truth of what happened. And I'm just like, and my Vaughn brain was still on board being like, what the hell is happening right now? But I'm like still in the experience of this. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. So I was, I came out of that experience like emotional and definitely like trying to process what happened. And so before I could say what happened, one of the other girls that was in that experience, that was in our training, she said, she goes, Vaughn, I saw you, like psychically, I could see you like in this field, and it looked like there was a war going on, and then I saw a lot of bloodshed. She was like, what happened over there? So I told her my experience, and again, I'm just like so emotional as all of these remembrance. All I can think of is like cellular awakening, because my cells, my body was holding on to those memories and came into this lifetime to heal. And I think it's so fascinating too because of the, like the guilt that my body was holding on a cellular level. So like truly the way that the emotion of guilt kept showing up in my life for me to heal through, for me to like witness it, for me to acknowledge that guilt is a part of this life. And it's like my soul is probably like, we got to get rid of this, Vaughn. Like, come on, let's go. And all in divine timing, right? So she told me that. So coupled with what she saw and what my friend had told me 6 months prior, and combined with what I just saw and witnessed and felt, I was like, holy shit, like this is really happening. And again, like I said, like I didn't even know if I believed in past lives. So this was a lot for me. I'm just like a 4-year-old woman that's like just going to get like some breathwork training. I didn't know I was signing up for all this. And so I took the next day off because I really was very emotional. Like my body, like everything was just like trying to process all the emotions of what I just experienced. So then the next day after that, we go back into our breathwork training. And in that experience, I was a lot more calm. I was a lot more collected, and my soul knew what it needed to do. Like that past life version of myself was there to heal. And I called in every single one of those women and children that had been killed, under my watch, like it wasn't really my fault, but I took personal responsibility for their death. And so I literally called in each one of them, and we would hug, energetically. I would feel them. I would feel their energy, and we would hug, and then I could feel them leave my body and leave my energy and the density of my body, right? Because I was like holding such personal responsibility of each one of those women and children in my body. I left that retreat 10 pounds lighter, and I didn't need to lose 10 pounds. So talk about emotional weight. So that experience was so profound for me, and it was very necessary for me to move forward in the way that I was going to move forward, because number one, I healed my sweet, precious soul. I did, that was like the biggie for me in this lifetime that I came here to heal and work through, and I did it. I said yes to all the little pieces that got me to that experience, and I did it. And I wouldn't be surprised also if in fact that whole, like that past life experience happened in those North Carolina mountains, because the way I was just drawn to that experience and to that training, and it had to be there. It was just, it was so divinely orchestrated and just like perfect. So the rest of the healing experience from that moment on was incredible, because I literally healed so much of my trauma. Then, I honestly, after I left the retreat, I was like, okay, so who am I now? What do I do with myself? How do I move forward? Because again, I'm still just a full-time massage therapist. I'm a mom, a wife, living in the burbs of Atlanta. Like, what do I do with myself? So I came back just so eager to spread the message and the word and the healing properties of breath work. And one of my girlfriends has a home studio that she does Pilates out of, and so she let me host a couple classes out of her studio, and then things got a little wild, and they were like, okay, maybe not do this. So then I started working in, that's when I started working in the Salt Cave, and I would be there like once or twice a month, and that's where I would host classes. And honestly, it took me about those first 3 years of learning to discover who I am as a teacher. You know, I had never stood in front of a class before and guided people through anything, much less transformational healing experiences. But the more I would do it and the more I would release my fears around showing up in that way. And, you know, with each class that I would host, I would be breathing with, I still do, I breathe with the class, and because we're going through the experience together. And so each time I would just be breathing and having these experiences with the whole class, I could feel the transformation happening with me personally and me as a teacher. And then of course I had my own private practice that I was using, and learning more about the breath and what kind of breath pattern works for me and how my body wanted to breathe. And like just looking back at the ways that breath work has transformed my life, it's truly incredible. And it starts with number one, just learning how to breathe properly, because so many of us do not breathe properly. So understanding the breath and how important it is to bring it down into our belly space and to allow it to expand through our bodies, and the way that it can heal our energy, and it can heal our nervous system, and it can heal our mind, and it can heal our actual literal body. So gosh, I just have so many stories, like people that had to have knee surgeries that didn't have to have knee surgeries anymore, or people that, you know, were going in for surgery but like not having to go through surgery because of using their breath is just unbelievable to me. So it's truly healing on a mind, body, and spirit level. It has awakened my voice. I think it's really interesting that I had never been so connected to my breath, right? Like I had never been aware of it, conscious of it. Like I would take some deep breaths, but I never was using my breath as medicine. And ultimately, that is what I teach now, is how to use your breath as medicine, and how to allow your breath and your body and your voice to become one with each other, so that you are one with yourself. And when you are one with yourself, you are one with God. And when you are one with God, you are at one and you are peace, and you are in the present moment. You are no longer, through the breath work, I have healed so much of my past life traumas, my generational trauma, my inner child healing. I have healed through the fears of my future. I have learned how to become present with my breath. It is the very thing that brings you present. Just that one breath can bring you right here, right now, at one with yourself. And it is just amazing to me that we have this tool and yet we don't use it. We have to really consciously think about it. I will say my breath, it has become easier for me to use it in a medicinal way, without me having to think about it consciously. It is just very natural for me to be in a deep breath kind of state and really allow my belly to rise and fall with my breath. Like that is pretty much how I breathe now, is correctly into my belly. But I will notice sometimes, when I'm on autopilot, it'll be more in my chest and I'm just like breathing without thinking about it. And then it's like, okay. And then I just kind of deep breath and reset my body. So it's just phenomenal to me how all those things are available to us when we connect to our breath. And the way that it has impacted my voice is like this podcast, for example, like being able to share the way that breath work and using my breath has healed me to a place where I am comfortable using my voice. I am comfortable exploring different concepts, and it has shifted my spirituality, and that's another way I get to use my voice is speaking to my spiritual evolution, my soul evolution. I get to speak to how my relationship with God has transformed as I release the religious trauma that my body has been holding on to. But through my breath, I was able to release that trauma. And through my breath, it has connected me because I just have such a new appreciation for each breath that I take, because God breathed life into me. So therefore, my breath is holy. I am holy. And being able to connect to that divinity within has been the most transformational aspect of my life. And truly, it's only happened because of the way I was able to use my breath to clear out all of the stuck, stagnant energy that my body was holding on to. I was holding on to so much, even after my past life healing trauma. I still had, that was past life stuff. I still had, this life stuff to heal and work through. And the layers, it doesn't end. But I will say, the way that I continue with my breath work practice has been the thing that elevates me deeper into my spirituality. And I really believe it's because the more that we clear out of the emotional and energetic stagnicity and density in our body, the more that we can clear it out from this lifetime and past lifetimes, the lighter we become, the higher we rise up to be able to meet with the divine, the more that we can go deeper within ourselves. Because when we're trying to go deep within, and if there's all these layers upon layers upon layers, of stuff that we got to work through, then you can't get to it. So that's why maintaining a practice is so important. I have women that keep coming to classes, keep coming to retreats, and part of you would think, well, okay, you've been there, you've done the work, you're kind of done. But the beautiful thing is, when you keep showing up for yourself over and over and over again, all you're doing is going deeper and deeper and deeper within. And you're going higher and higher and higher. And so that is where the real magic is. And I've got to say, if you listen to my podcast and you've been following along my journey, this past year and a half specifically has been so profound for me on a spiritual level, on a next level spiritual depth that I didn't even know existed. But it's because I have cleared out so much of the density, and I feel like we all are. We're all clearing out so much, and it's really our soul that is saying, let's go deeper within. Let's really just let go of all this bullshit that is in the way, and let's just clear, purge, so that we can get deeper into the meat and potatoes of who you really are, which is a divine, holy being that is just unconditional love in its truest form. And that is where I am slowly but surely getting to, right? Is in that place of unconditional love, and the more I get to witness it, and the more I get to feel it in my body, it's my heart just expands so much more. And the more my heart expands, the more I am able to attract the abundance that is all around me. Within these past 6 years, I have made more money than I ever made as a massage therapist, and I'm working so much less, and I'm doing what I love. And I'm so grateful to those years being a massage therapist and for the experience that it taught me and the way that I'm able to connect with people's bodies. It's just, it had to be the way that it had to be. Um, but I think that that's really fascinating too. Like, the more I let go of the past and the more I heal my money story and the more I just allow myself to continue to rise up and rise up and rise up into the possibility and the potentiality that is available to me, that is when I'm actually making more money. And I just think that incredible to that's an incredible story, because I definitely have like money wounding. I don't have the healthiest money story, and it is through working with my breath and healing all of this stuff that I have cleared out the congestion in my body. I have cleared away the cobwebs and the triggers, and I mean, obviously not all, like, I'm not trying to say I'm healed by any means. I speak very, very authentically and vulnerably here how this journey never, never, never ends. I know that I will never be healed in this lifetime, but what I can do is have a new acceptance of my healing journey. And that requires self-acceptance. That requires self-love. That requires you being able to love and respect yourself so much and enough to go into the depths of your soul to do the deep, hard work, no matter how scary and painful it may be. And so I just want to acknowledge you for your journey, where you are right now and what you've been through, and the fact that you just keep showing up and you keep fighting for yourself. And I just want to say you're doing it. And at the same time, like, really celebrate myself as well, because I'm really going through some stuff right now where I realize how judgmental I am of myself. And I just kind of had this little revelation recently about, how I talk about my Chiron return wound is fear of rejection. And, that really doesn't, at the end of the day, it doesn't have to do with being rejected by any of you, right? Like, or me putting an offer out there and someone not taking advantage of the offer or anything like that. It really has everything to do with me rejecting myself. And the only reason why I would reject myself is because I would be judging myself, is because I would be saying, who do you think you are? Like, why are you doing that? That is so silly. Or, nobody's going to sign up for that. Or, do you really think you're smart enough to offer this, or whatever? Like, me placing the judgment on my own self is me rejecting myself. And I just kind of had that revelation this week, of course, in this full moon in Aries energy that is going to be revealed to me. And so really, just how can I accept myself even more? How can I say the wild and crazy things? How can I talk about my past life healing experience that I had and not think that people, not have people think that I'm a freak, or like that's crazy, or like I'm losing my mind, or, not that a lot of people have, definitely people have, but, that's okay. I understand why, because that's a crazy story, and it was crazy for even me to be able to comprehend. But, for me to speak to the power of what happens in a breathwork experience, and not just any breathwork experience, but a breathwork a holy breath method experience with me, like for me to be able to talk about the power of that is still where I'm judging myself. It's like almost like this underlying thing of like, people don't care, people aren't ready for you, people don't want to hear what you have to say. Like, this is all me placing those judgments on myself. And at the end of the day, it has nothing to do with you. Like, if you don't receive me, or if you don't like me, or you don't like or believe what I have to say, I've got to trust that you're not going to listen to me. Like, you're here, you're listening to me now, so there's something that resonates between us, right? And so it's so interesting to me, like, why do we focus on the negative sometimes and not the positive? And for the most part, I'm always very positive, and I'm so grateful for the connections and the conversations that we get to have. But I just think it's interesting, like, how I can sense, like, the deeper that I try to get into my work, I can see how I still sabotage myself, like my mind. And it all comes back to fear of rejection of myself via judgment of myself. Isn't that incredible? So I just know that I still have a lot of work to do, because I do want to make a great impact. I do want to work with more people. I do want to learn more about myself and how I'm here to really help ignite people's soul and help them alchemize between their body and their soul, and really becoming one with themselves. That is the ultimate thing that I am here to do, is to alchemize lead into gold, density into light. So it's just a beautiful, 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 crazy journey that has been such an unexpected plot twist for my life when I signed up for that experience, that breathwork training certification, because part of me was like, I didn't even know if I was going to be teaching breathwork classes or if it was just for me. But like, after I experienced the power of breathwork and how transformational it is, like, every single person needs to be experiencing this. It's that simple. Like, we all need to be using our breath as medicine, to be able to connect deeper to our true selves. And I really believe that breath is the number one healing modality and tool, self-healing tool, that you can use to access those parts of you. And the way that the breath has expanded me into a deeper connection with my body, my voice, spirit, my own spirit, and Holy Spirit, it's just been a absolutely profound journey. And I cannot even imagine how painful my life would be if I didn't have the breath in my life right now. And if I hadn't said yes to those experiences, that, if I hadn't picked up those little pieces of the puzzle and started putting it all together so that I could be here right now, because my life is so abundant. It is so beautiful. It is filled with more love than I could have ever possibly imagined for myself. Like, I literally, part of my problem was I could never, it's like, what's your dream? I'm like, I don't know. I never could come up with a dream. I could never dream big enough, because I could never have comprehended this level of abundance for myself, that it was available to me. So I just want to let this message be one of encouragement to continue on the journey. and to incorporate a breathwork practice into your life. And if you are called to teach and to facilitate your own transformational experiences, then come hang out with me. Like, the way that we as a community are growing and deepening and sinking deeper into each other and ourselves is just been one of the greatest gifts, is the community and the love and the relationships that I have with other women has been, it's my everything. It literally fuels my soul for everything. So I am just really celebrating me this week on my 6-year anniversary of my breathwork training and certification. And I am celebrating me that I am now teaching others how to facilitate and how to hold space for their community, because it's not about me. I mean, I don't want to go heal the world. Like, there's too much of us. Like, we've got to spread out. We've got to bring our own medicine to our communities and to share our light and to share our gifts. And I really, once again, just believe the only way that we can access that medicine and to share that medicine is through our breath. So I am so grateful to you for being on this journey with me. And again, I just really feel so much celebration for you for the journey that you are on. And no matter where you're at, whatever you're doing it. You're doing so good. I know I speak to so many of you, and it's hard. We're really going through some challenging times, right? But it's all for the greater of good. And the more that we can use our breath to stay centered, to stay present, to not let ourselves get caught up in everything that is swirling so crazy around us, then this is how we can get through this together. So I love you, and I'm grateful to you, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.